Hello and welcome to this week's installment of the Fit Finance Sessions with me, Henry Elliston, Tom Senegals and Tim Webb. How are you? And thanks very much for joining. So it's the start of the new tax year, an exciting time for us all. And to celebrate that, we thought we'd just run you through the principal planning, the ideas that you might do to set up this financial year in the most profitable and tax efficient way possible. So to get us undergoing, Tom or Tim, who wants to kick off with one financial planning idea for the beginning of the tax year?
I'll jump in then. Go on, Tom, with the lowest hanging fruit, which is of course the ISA allowance, the individual savings account. £20,000 each per tax year, tax-free environment to grow your money, tax-free source of income later on down the line when you come to retire. So clearly it's something that you want to be maximising if you can as early as possible throughout the tax year. The reason being to then give you as much time throughout the year for your money to be growing tax efficiently. Obviously cash ISAs, stocks and shares ISAs are generally speaking the ones that we're talking about. So that's where you're naturally going to get more growth than you would do for cash ISA. But of course there is the junior ISA, which for your kinder, you can be popping away some money away each year, which I believe is 9,000 a year.
9,000 a year, yeah. My kinder? What are my kinder?
Kinder. German.
We're going international.
We were talking German last week as well, weren't we?
Yeah, exactly. We'll learn a new word every week. So yeah, ISAs, they're for the taking, can't carry it forward. It's use it or lose it. So anybody listening that can do it, obviously, get cracking.
Yeah. It's interesting what you're saying actually about the cash ISA, because the rates on cash ISAs are pretty much universally rubbish at the moment. But if you have got cash and you're just using it as an emergency fund, it's probably still worthwhile using your cash ISA, I'd suggest, just so at least you've got that money all wrapped up in the ISA, which then if you've got a bit more money in future years, at least then you can start to invest that cash ISA. And I think I saw that the Marcus account, the one that's offered by Goldman Sachs, is now offering an eye-watering 0.4% on a cash ISA account. Although you might need to already be in a client with them, so it's not for everyone. But anyway, it's exciting.
Yeah. Casinos down that sort of return on the market.
Tom, what have you got for us?
I think, well, I suppose on top of the ISA and junior ISAs, there are LISAs for young people who haven't spent all their money on avocados and Gucci trainers, because apparently that's all they spend their money on. That's got a smaller allowance of 4,000 and can be used towards house purchase or retirement later on. It's actually probably better off than a pension for basic rate taxpayers. If you're going to use it for longer term planning, it's slightly more tax efficient, I think, but it's fairly similar. I think the other easy ones are capital gains exemption. If you're we tend to do those at the end of the tax year along with pensions, just because you're not quite sure what your gains are going to be. But if you are sat on some gains and you want to realise those shares and you're not using it every year, then that's something to do. But also I think it's a time of just planning ahead and thinking, right, new tax year, I've sorted out whatever I needed to do last year, or if I've forgotten about it, maybe I need to be ahead of schedule. So things like chatting to an advisor to make sure I am going to use my pension allowances, things like venture capital trusts as well. They're often limited edition, shall we say, and that there's only so much subscription available, and the better ones tend to fill out sooner. They won't start opening till the autumn, but again, better to start getting the advice now, looking at what options are, and then you can be fully prepared and have the pick of the bunch, rather than the Ronald McDonald roll-up VCT fund. That's the only one left at the end of the tax year. So yeah, I think it's just about being prepared, and things are opening up. Bit of spring cleaning wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, the other one that springs to mind that I suppose could be overlooked is the inheritance tax planning. And you've got a £3,000 allowance that you can give away from capital every year, but also you can go back 1 year. So if you didn't use your £3,000 allowance last year, now's a really good time to start thinking about whether or not your children have been kind enough to you over the last tax year, and whether or not they're deserving of £3,000 from you. But yeah, no, really good points there, guys. Thanks very much. So just a quick episode for this week, I think. So we'll leave it there. But no doubt next week we'll come back with hugely interesting and exciting topics, as well as Tim's cat. Rabbit. Who's going to be making an entrance next week. So look forward to seeing you then. All the best. Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.